Welcome to the channel and to the Ultimate Racing League. This is our BTCC replica challenge. I have to say BTCC like that because it's a bit of a mouthful, and if I try and say it quickly I mess it all up. So yeah, Wednesday evenings I'm with the League 1 guys, and we are at round 9 of 10, so I think they call this the penultimate round. So it's all hotting up towards the end of this season. Now I will bring you, obviously I'm going to bring you next week's race, which is the final race, which I believe is at Willow Springs. That should be fun. And I'm going to run down the league table just before that race, but I do know it's getting quite heated and quite tight at the top of the table. So on to this one. As I've mentioned, we're at round 9. We're at in Tokyo on the street circuit of the Expressway. It's the central clockwise track, 2.4 miles and 14 turns. Very quick, very fast flowing track. Couple of tricky corners actually that do catch you out. So we'll just it's going to be interesting to see how these basically road cars handle it. So we're going to have a run down the grid, and we're just going to get cracked straight into this really. So let's just have a quick look, shall we? So Stormfly has put himself on pole position. Now he's been on pole position twice before, and on both occasions he got the win. So he's obviously got his hopes up for this one as well, but I'm sure the guys behind are going to want to spoil that. But yeah, Stormfly in pole position. Grasshopper just behind him in second. Wadrew in third. Let's hope it's a better round for him. He's not had a fantastic last couple of rounds, to be fair, as Wadrew. He was storming away at the beginning of the season and then sort of dropped off a little bit, but he's got himself up into third on the grid for this race, so fingers crossed he can get a better race from him today. Unforgiven is fourth. T. Bennett is fifth in the little Toyota. Neil Farmack, sixth. Now, Neil Farmack 3 times on the podium last week. 2 wins and a third, I believe it was. Yeah, it was two wins and a third for Neil last week, but obviously doesn't like the Tokyo streets because he's down in 6th. Nath is 7th. Scooby is 8th. Brian Moncani in 9th, and Stealth in 10th. So, 10 drivers on the grid. Excuse me. Let's get some lights out, shall we, and get race 1 underway. Now, the 3 15-minute races. Tyre rules are you have to use softs and mediums in at least one race, not both together. You can run softs and then mediums, or mediums softs, or soft medium, whatever. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it all. You should know by now. As long as mediums are used at some point. Now, everybody, I have already had a quick look down. Everybody's on the softs for race 1, and with this being a clockwise track, then the left-hand tyres are going to take an absolute beating. So it's going to be interesting to see how the guys look after their tyres as Stormfly takes us up towards turn 5 for the first time, and the sparks are flying already. Oh, Stormfly gets it all sorts of wrong coming out of turn 5. That really is a nasty turn. It doesn't look like much, but it really does catch you out. But he's managed to hold on to the lead. Grasshopper just sitting behind him, and more sparks come flying as the guys clip the walls. These street circuits really are very narrow. Now, the wall penalties have been removed for this race. However, it does not give the drivers the right to wall ride, which is quite a common thing in Tokyo races. Not in URL, I need to add, but if you watch some of the dailies and some of the other races, then wall riding is quite a common thing, but it is not allowed. It is very frowned upon, in fact, in Ultimate Racing League, as we see Grasshopper trying to make a move on Stormfly as we cross the start-finish line to start lap 2. As he goes into lap 2, turn 2 and 3, and Grasshopper's managed to get his nose in front. So he obviously likes these street circuits, does Grasshopper, so he's moved up into the lead of this race. Stormfly can only drop in behind him in second. Bennett has moved up into third. Fantastic racing from Bennett in that little Toyota. He's gained a couple of places already. Maybe this track is going to be suited to these smaller cars that are better in the tight turns. As I've said, it's a very quick, very fast flowing track, but some of these turns are absolute nightmare. But Bennett, as we follow him into one of the tunnels around turn 6 and into turn 7, is sitting there in third. Wadru in fourth. He's dropped a place, but that's no big deal at the minute. He'll be quite comfortable with that. So Wadru sitting in fourth. Neil Farmack, he's made his way up now into fifth. So gained a spot already as Neil, but I don't think he really does enjoy these street circuits. Otherwise, I think he'd have been way up at the front. Unforgiven, well, he's dropped a couple of spots. He's now down in sixth. With Nathan 7th, Scooby in 8th, Brian Moncon in 9th, and Stealth still down there in 10th, and a little way off. So I think Stealth may have had a bit of a coming together with one of the walls. Well, the wall. It is just, this track is just surrounded by a wall. There is no let up from it. Even if you wanted to leave the track, you couldn't. So that's how bad it is. It is just walls and tunnels around these Tokyo streets. So back up to the top, and Grasshopper and Stormfly having a proper battle, but Bennett has got in there. Now then, what's happened there? I've lost my cursor. Where's my cursor got? There it is. Right, let's just go back, and because Grasshopper, for some reason, just seemed to slam his brakes on. He's battling away with Stormfly, so Stormfly and Grasshopper side by side. Bennett just sitting there behind them, trying to see what's going on. In fact, we'll jump on board with Bennett, shall we? Oh, Stormfly goes into the barrier of this turn 5 again. Grasshopper, I think, may have felt responsible for it, and he slowed down to give the place back, which is the right thing to do. But these BMWs seem to be struggling through that turn 5, and as I said earlier, these little cars, the little Toyota, is probably loving it out there. Actually, it's ideally suited for one of these little cars, these tracks. And Bennett says, thank you very much, boys, and he just goes gliding through. So now Grasshopper back in front of Stormfly after giving the place back. Neil Farmack up to third. Well, where has Stormfly gone? Whoa, he is way down, isn't he? Well, we're going to go back and have a bit of a look and see what the situation is. Well, this is just, so it was just as the crash. So Stormfly then. No, he is slowing right down. Why is he slowing down so much? Maybe it's the damage. I'm not quite sure. We'll not dwell on it. But Stormfly, after that coming together with Grasshopper, let's go back up and see what's happening at the top then. So after that coming together with Grasshopper, Grasshopper sort of slowed down to let Stormfly back through. He did. But then Stormfly slowed right down and has now ended up at the back of the pack. So it is up to Grasshopper to try and chase T. Bennett. Neil Farmack moved up into third, so this is more like it from Neil. Like I said, 3 podium finishes last week, so we'll be hoping to more of the same this week. Unforgiven in fourth, so having a good race so far is Unforgiven, putting the pressure on Neil Farmack, but he's got Nath right up his jacksie. Having a right good sniff around there, isn't he, as Unforgiven makes the move on Neil Farmack. A great move as well at turn 3 and 4. That's a very tricky place to make an overtake, so a good move from Unforgiven to go up into third. Neil Farmack in fourth, with Nath trying to push Neil Farmack along, sitting there in fifth. Oh, and that looked like Woodrow getting all sorts of oh, it wasn't, it was Nath. It was Nath getting it all wrong. He's side by side with Neil Farmack, and this track really does not like people going side by side. You can just about manage 2, and it's this turn 5. Oh, now then, it may have been a little tap actually. There may have been a bit of a little love tap, shall we say. Let's see if we can just have one more quick look at that. What we will do is we shall do the old drone cam thing, and Neil Farmack and Nath having a good old battle. Woodrow is just behind in the Mercedes as they start to come up through the tunnel, as they emerge from the tunnel into turn 5, and this turn really is causing some problems, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. It was a bit of a love tap from Woodrow. I'm not so sure Woodrow knew much about it. It may have been Nath putting the brakes on and just catching Woodrow out. But yeah, poor old Woodrow and Nath having a bit of a coming together there. Oh, it's still happening as Brian McCartney and Wadru sort of have a bit of... Oh, what's up? Well, I think we've lost... No, we have got Wadru. Have we got Wadru? It usually does that when somebody disappears. And I think Wadru's quit, actually. He's had to retire. So Wadru's had to retire. Well, let's try and sort this out, shall we? Because this is good. So Wadru has retired from the race. Grasshopper is challenging Bennett and has retaken the lead. Great racing from these two, actually, as they cross the start-finish line, go through turns 1 and 2, up to turn 3 and 4, side by side, Grasshopper and Bennett. Grasshopper retakes the lead in the BMW. The little Toyota just behind him, who is going to tuck in there and try and pick up some slipstream. Unforgiven now moves up into 3rd. We are only at 6 minutes and it's already been full of drama. Neil Farmack in 4th in the Genesis Coupe. He's coming under attack from Stormfly. Stormfly wants that B4, doesn't he? Maybe the Genesis is not suited to this kind of track. Although you'd have thought it would have been, because it is practically just plant your foot down on the noisy pedal and just go. So Neil Farmack doing a good job of holding Stormfly off, but I've got a feeling it's not going to be long before Stormfly... In fact, let's jump on board with Stormfly. I don't think it's going to be long before Stormfly is actually trying to make a move on Neil Farmack. It is very difficult to do so on this circuit, though. You can see how wide it isn't. All the corners as well are quite tricky. They're quite long corners. You turn into it and expect to see the exit, but it's not there. You have to keep turning, and they just seem to go on and on and on. And then when you get to a corner like this, again, it's a long corner, but a very sharp one, and you can see Stormfly got a much better exit out of there, and there's just no room. Neil Farmack trying to make himself as wide as possible to stop Stormfly getting through, and he is making a good job of it. Neil Farmack just parking the car in the middle of the track. And well, why not? Stormfly practically pushing Neil Farmack along through turn 5 again as sparks come flying off of the Genesis as he scrapes the wall, and that's the opportunity that Stormfly was looking for. They are side by side, so let's get out and have a look at this. No, they've just got it done now. So Stormfly moves up into 4th, Neil Farmack in 5th, Scooby is 6th. Wow, great racing from those two guys there, and they are at the top of the table as well, I believe, so fighting for every point they can get. Scooby sitting in 6th, not under a massive amount of pressure at the minute from Brian Moncani behind, but in fact there is quite a big gap actually. So Scooby just holding on to the back of this leading pack. Brian Moncani then, like I say, a bit of a gap there, more sparks come flying as his Genesis scrapes along the wall. Stealth in 8th with Nath now down in 9th, and we've lost Wadru through retirement as Nath makes the move on Stealth through the final turn at turn 14 and goes on through. So Nath now moves up into 8th position with Stealth following him in the Focus, the only Focus actually. Oh, it's Nath. Nath having a bit of a mare, really. I don't know, I'm not quite sure what happened there. So it's through turn 1, a bit of a clip with the wall on the inside. Oh yeah, it caught the wall on the outside. It's like ping pong then, isn't it? Or what's those pinball? That's the, I'm trying to think of those tables. It's just pinball, you bounce from one wall to the next. So that's poor old Nath. Damage at the front, damage at the back, and all the way down in 9th. So Stealth can have a bit of a sigh of relief to have the pressure taken off of him for a short while anyway. So let's go back up and see what's happening up at the top. Now Grasshopper has started to open up quite a lead from Bennett just behind him, so it really is with 5.5 minutes to go. It's Grasshopper's to lose, so he just needs to take his time and get around this track safely. Bennett just needs to do the same. He's got Unforgiven chasing him, but he's had a good race so far as Bennett. like I say, he's probably well suited out there in that little Toyota. But he's got the might of the Mercedes chasing him down, and Unforgiven is definitely on a mission. He's having a fantastic race so far, is Unforgiven. He started in 4th, so he has gained a place throughout the race, up into 3rd, and I know he'd like to improve on that and get a bit further up the podium steps. But look who is coming up in 4th at the minute, and it is absolutely flying. That is why we call him the Flying Dutchman. He is absolutely soaring at the minute, and look how quickly he's catching up to the back of Unforgiven. Had that right old ding dong with Neil Farmack earlier, and struggled to find a way by. Is it going to be the same with Unforgiven? But Stormfly definitely senses a podium finish here, doesn't he? He's just got to find a way by the 2 guys in front of him. Unforgiven trying to make that Mercedes as fat as it possibly can be, although Stormfly eyeing him up now as they cross the line and go into turn 1. It is side by side with Unforgiven into turn 1, taking it easy. We do not want to go hitting those walls. Sparks fly off of Unforgiven's car as he has a little scrape with the wall. Not a lot of room through there, but Stormfly has managed to get by and moves up into P3 and onto the podium, but he's got Bennett in his sights. Though Stormfly wants to move up a little bit further. We're just going to stick with these guys just for a few more turns, because Stormfly is going to make the move on Bennett now. Then I think the BMW's got the power in a straight line, and yeah, he made it look quite easy actually, didn't he? So Stormfly now moves up into P2 with Bennett in 3rd. But he's coming under a lot of attention from Unforgiven, so could Bennett lose another place? At the minute, he is just about hanging on to that 3rd podium spot, but look at the front left-hand tyre of Bennett's Toyota. It is really worn down, and if we look at Unforgiven's, well, not a lot of wear on that at all. So Bennett nearly out of grip, and he'll start to feel that. We've got just under 3 minutes of this race to go. Now Unforgiven pulls out across the start-finish line to start lap 10. Unforgiven pulls out, and it is now side by side up towards turn 1. Are they going to get around there safely? Well, yeah, what a fantastic race between those 2 guys. Neither of them scraped the wall. I was expecting the sparks to be flying, but Unforgiven gets through. Great manoeuvre on Bennett. Not a lot Bennett could do about it. He's really struggling for grip. So let's have a look down the around the grid now. Neil Farmack, he's another one struggling on the front left. We knew this circuit was going to punish those tyres. I'm just hoping that Neil Farmack's got enough left in the his front tyre. Ooh, the sparks fly. Scooby senses the opportunity now to make a move on Neil Farmack. Neil Farmack's really struggling now for grip. That front left is practically gone. Scooby though, oh, his tyres are so much better. He's going to have so much more grip, and it shows there as he moves through. Neil Farmack not finished though. He is a very quick driver, very accomplished driver is Neil Farmack, so old tyre's not really going to bother him, is it? It's now Scooby that's got a bit of a fight on his hands. Brian Moncani down in 7th, never really got into this race, did he? I think he's had a few scrapes that we've missed, but he's out there on his own at the minute in 7th. Nath, well, we've seen him had quite a few scrapes and bumps along the way, as everybody else, I think. And poor old Stealth down in 9th in the Focus. Not an ideal track for the Focus, actually. The Focus is very, very slidey at the front. As soon as you turn in, the car tends to want to have a bit of a drifting session. So Stealth probably struggling a little bit in this first race in the Focus. Does very well on some of the other tracks, but this one is, yeah, it's probably not its best. So back up to the top then, somebody who has got to grips with it in the BMW is Grasshopper. Tyres looking fine. Probably 30% wear on the front left, which is the one that's taking all of the punishment as we are into the last few seconds of this race actually, as Grasshopper crosses the line he's going to get one more lap in. Stormfly, he will get another lap in as well, sitting in second. Gap starting to appear now. Unforgiven in third. Bennett is in fourth. Tyre about gone now, so he's just going to have to try and nurse that car back. Let's just see if anybody is going to cross the line and finish it. Maybe Neil Farmack, who does. Yeah, Neil Farmack finishes in sixth. So he started in sixth and finished in sixth. Brian Moncarney, well, he's made a couple of places up, started in ninth, and if he can just hold on, as Nath, has another coming together with Barry R. So Brian in seventh, Nath in eighth, and Stealth will come round to complete his final lap and finish in ninth. And I'm sure he will be glad to see the back of this race as the sparks fly as he catches the wall again. So back up to the top. And well, Grasshopper's got this one in the bag, hasn't he? I can't see him making a mistake. Now it's going to be interesting to see the guys put the medium tyres on around this track. It's going to get very lively, shall we say. But there's the checkered flag for Grasshopper, so well done to him. A great race and well deserved. Stormfly, a brilliant second place for him. Unforgiven, third. Well done to him, and Bennett just couldn't hold on, could it? But crosses the line in fourth. He'll be pleased with that. And Scooby, another good race from Scooby to take fifth. So that was race one. Join me again in a minute. I've lost my bit of paper, which tells us what time of the day we're at. But I think it's obviously it's going to be a bit later in the day. Anyway, we've got two more races for you. So yeah, join me as soon as you can, and then we'll go on to races 2 and 3.